The crimson warning lights of the GSS Harmony bathed the command deck in an ominous glow as the massive dreadnought shuddered under another barrage from the Zephyrian fleet. Admiral Kethvar's crystalline exoskeleton clicked anxiously as she watched the tactical display, 17 enemy ships converging on their position, while the Galactic Council's combined fleet was still hours away from reinforcement range. "Shields at 30%, reported Lieutenant Maheen from her station, her fingers dancing across holographic controls with practiced precision. The human communications officer had earned her position through exceptional scores at the Academy, but like most of her species, she was considered fragile by Council standards. Her dark eyes reflected the red emergency lighting as she coordinated evacuation protocols for non-essential personnel. In the corner of the bridge, Cadet Adam stood quietly beside the weapons console, observing the chaos with an intensity that made even the seasoned Velcorian Marines uncomfortable. The young human had been assigned to the Harmony for his final training rotation, a diplomatic gesture to humanity's newest membership in the Council. Most species required centuries to develop space-worthy technology. Humans had accomplished it in mere decades, though they remained physically inferior to nearly every other Council race. "Their plasma cannons are overwhelming our deflector arrays," growled Commander Raxhal, his 6 arms working frantically at the tactical station. "At this rate, we have maybe 10 minutes before hull breach." Admiral Kethvar's mandibles clicked in frustration. The Zephyrians had chosen their moment perfectly, catching a single Council ship in deep space far from any support. It was a calculated move to test the Council's resolve, and if the Harmony fell here, it would embolden separatist factions across 3 sectors. "Ma'am," Maheen's voice cut through the bridge chatter, "I'm detecting some kind of interference in their formation. Ship-to-ship communications seem disrupted." Adam stepped forward, his movements deliberate and calm despite the chaos around him. "Admiral, permission to speak?" Kethvar's compound eyes swiveled toward him. In all her years of command, she had rarely heard humans speak during combat situations. They typically deferred to more experienced species. "Granted, Cadet. The Zephyrians are using a tight formation because their plasma weapons require synchronized targeting for maximum effectiveness," Adam said, his voice steady. "But they're also maintaining radio silence to avoid Council intercepts. They're relying entirely on visual coordination, and," Raxhal's tone was dismissive, "their formation is still overwhelming our defenses." Adam reached behind his back and withdrew something that made every non-human on the bridge freeze in bewilderment. It was a curved piece of what appeared to be laminated wood, strung with synthetic fiber, a primitive projectile weapon that belonged in a museum, not on a starship bridge. "Cadet," Admiral Kethvar said carefully, "this is not the time for—" "With respect, Admiral," Adam interrupted, moving to the forward observation window. "Humans have been perfecting long-range precision targeting for over 10,000 years. We didn't abandon everything when we reached the stars." Maheen's eyes widened in understanding. "Adam, the emergency manual override for the forward torpedo bay, it's right there." She pointed to a panel near the observation deck that was typically used only for maintenance access. The Zephyrian flagship was maintaining position approximately 2 kilometers off the starboard bow, directing the formation's assault pattern through light signals. Adam knocked what looked like a metallic arrow onto his bow, but Maheen could see the microelectronics embedded in the shaft, clearly a modified design incorporating Council technology. "The electromagnetic pulse charge is contained within the arrowhead," Adam explained as he drew the string back with surprising strength for a human. "If I can hit their command ship's primary communications array," he paused, calculating angles and trajectory in a way that reminded Maheen of humanity's ancient, hunter-gatherer instincts, translated into space warfare. "Impossible," Raxhal scoffed. "No organic being could make that shot through vacuum with a primitive projectile weapon." Adam smiled grimly. "Humans learned to hunt by throwing pointed sticks at moving targets. We just got better at it." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of failing systems and the distant rumble of enemy fire. Through the transperistyle viewport, the Zephyrian formation moved with mechanical precision, their ships gleaming like deadly insects in the starlight. Adam released the arrow. What happened next defied every expectation of ballistic physics that the Council species understood. The arrow flew straight and true through the vacuum. its embedded guidance system making micro-adjustments based on calculations Adam's enhanced human reflexes had programmed in real time. It struck the Zephyrian flagship's communications array with surgical precision, the EMP charge detonating in a brilliant flash that rippled across their hull. Immediately, the enemy formation began to falter. Without their command ship's coordination, the Zephyrian vessels started drifting out of their synchronized attack pattern. Some ships fired at empty space where they expected Council vessels to be, while others hesitated, waiting for orders that would never come. "All ships," Maheen announced over the comm system. "This is GSS Harmony. Enemy command and control has been neutralized. Recommend immediate tactical dispersal to exploit their confusion." The Council reinforcement fleet, still an hour out, acknowledged and began jamming Zephyrian backup communication frequencies. Within minutes, the enemy fleet was in full retreat. Their carefully planned ambush turned into a chaotic rout by a single arrow fired by a human cadet with a bow. Admiral Kethvar approached Adam, her crystalline features reflecting something that might have been awe. "Cadet, in 3 centuries of military service, I have never witnessed tactical innovation of this caliber." Adam lowered his bow and looked out at the retreating enemy ships. "Admiral, every species in the Council mastered energy weapons and force fields before they reached space. Humans had to survive on a world where we were physically outmatched by almost every predator. We learned to be creative, to turn any tool into a weapon, to find solutions that others couldn't imagine." Maheen smiled proudly at her fellow human. "We may not be the strongest or fastest species in the galaxy, but we're the ones who never stopped thinking like hunters." As the Harmony limped toward the nearest starbase, word of the battle spread through Council networks. Humanity's reputation shifted overnight. No longer the fragile newcomers who needed protection, but the species that could find victory in the most impossible circumstances using methods no one else would consider. The Galactic Council had learned something profound that day. Never underestimate a species that conquered its homeworld, armed with nothing but pointed sticks and the refusal to give up.